guys, this is my guinea worm tutorial. Now this took me 4 attempts to do, but I love the finished result. So starting off with a clean base, nothing on it at all, I'm going to take sculpt gel A and B. This is a silicone gel. I haven't found anything else to do the same job, so unfortunately this is expensive. But taking equal parts of A and B using 2 different spatulas, then with a clean spatula mix them together for about 2 minutes, making sure they're completely mixed to perfection. Now apply little discs on the leg where you want your pockets to go. These pockets are going to house your worms, blood and pus. Make sure they're big enough that they're going to fit your worms, but not too thick that you won't be able to pierce them and create little pockets. Make sure you smooth out all the edges so they blend in with the skin and hold a lot better. With guinea worms, they create this raised capillary effect. So this is what I'm doing now. I'm creating these wiggly lines across the area so it looks like raised capillaries. We're going to colour this in to make it more stand out later on. So now once you're finished and it's completely dry, you're going to powder it down with powder. The drying usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes depending on how long that you've taken, but it's important for you to wait until it's completely dry. Powdering is just pretty simple, just apply powder and brush any excess away. Now with this Q-tip that I cut into a point, we're going to create the air spaces in the pocket. Please be careful at this stage because you do not want to cut yourself at all. So here I'm just taking my time and wiggling it in and then pushing it from side to side to add some more air into the area. Once you've got your desired effect, take a tiny pair of scissors, usually eyebrow scissors, and just snip either side of the tube and then take out that little section. This creates the hole, making it easier for you to put your worm and blood and pus. Again, please be careful with this. These scissors were sharp and you do not want to cut yourself. Here's a close-up of me creating these holes. As you can see, it's pretty sharp and I am using a bit of pressure, but please again take your time, you do not want to cut yourself. The easiest thing I found was to kind of twist it and twirl it until it was in. And keeping the tube in while you cut creates a better guideline than trying to do it freehand. Again, like I said, be careful, you do not want to hurt yourself. Now taking my zombie palette, I'm going to take some alcohol activated paints in blue and bruise tone to create a bruising effect. Here's where my 4 attempts happened. Because when I did my first attempt, my discs were too thick that they popped off the skin the moment I cut them, I decided to put alcohol activated paint on, which meant that the sculpt gel never set. It was completely runny and every time I popped one it was just liquid and moved completely off my skin. So word of the wise, do not put alcohol activate on before you put sculpt gel, it's just easier this way. So as you can see, this bruised capillary effect is coming on, and now taking a liner brush I'm creating these raised veins. Now I'm extending past the raised parts as most of the vein would still be showing even if it wasn't raised, so I'm kind of exaggerating all the lines that I've created. With this painting of the bruise, it did cover up some of them, so you really need to go in with this just to show them off a bit more. They do sort of look like cuts, and for some reason I just couldn't get the colouring right on them, but it still gave it a very good effect, as some of these raised capillaries in guinea worm infections are very red, almost as if you pierced one it would bleed out. Now making sure that it's completely dry, which it usually dries within about 2 or 3 seconds, taking some liquid blood, I'm going to place it on the edge of that little spike and push it into all the holes. I found this was slightly easier to do because the hose on the blood wouldn't fit through the holes, and it was just easier this way. If you had something smaller that you could push the blood in, it would be a lot more easier, but it was just all I could do at the time. Now all the blood's in, you can now put in your pus. Because my pus is quite thick, I pushed it in and then I had to keep pushing it in and pushing it in. So I think if I did this again, I would use slightly more watery pus than I used, but it still made a perfect effect. Again, with this spike, you want to be careful not to hurt yourself. Again, like my other tutorials that had pus in, this mixes the pus and blood, creating a more gory effect. As you can see, the pits are starting to puff out a lot more with the blood and pus inside them. Make sure you do this for all of them. And be careful not to push too hard, as you might pop through the other side and pull the silicone off the skin. Now, choosing one of your pits, you're now going to push your guinea worm into the hole. This took a while and it takes patience. Be careful not to push too hard, push too much at once, or push too far in one section, as it can split off the skin. I did have the occasional rip on the edges, but I think it came out okay, better than I would have thought anyway. Again, twirl the worm in any direction you want to, as this will make it more realistic when you pull it out at the end. Make sure to push the pits occasionally to spread the blood and pus inside. This way it coats the worm that you've pushed in there. And you could judge how much of the worm you've pushed in by feeling it. As you can see, all my worms are in. I'm now just adding a little bit more blood and pus around the openings, just to create more of a gory effect. Now, taking a stick, we're going to twirl the worm around them. Now, in guinea worm removal, they do use bamboo sticks to slowly roll and pull them out of the victims. Once they're around the stick, I like to coat them in the pus gel and a little bit of blood to show that they've just come out the skin. Now you're finished. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, subscribe if you're not, and leave a comment down below what you thought, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!